My name is Steve Butts, and I'm a member of the building committee. I'm also a high school science teacher, and I'm here to give you a little quick overview of the capital project that we're proposing for the school, and just give you a background on how this project came about. It's the result of our building committee, which meets once a month throughout the school year, and we look at all aspects of the infrastructure of our building. It's made up of community members, Board of Education members, faculty, administration, and anyone who is interested in maintaining our school infrastructure. And the things that we are charged with as a committee include looking at fire code safety issues, how to enhance educational spaces, and of course energy efficiency is a very important aspect of what we do as well. So as a result of our meeting through and over actually many years, we are proposing a capital project. We're calling it Capital Project 2015. And it's addressing three main aspects for our school. First, we're going to be looking at educational spaces that we can improve. Secondly, we are looking at some health and safety issues that we want to address. And then third, we have an emergency situation that has arisen that is really causing trouble for our building. So to start off with the educational aspects of this project, we want to include creating new libraries for both the elementary and the high school. Currently, we have two libraries in the school, as you know, the elementary and the middle school, high school library. Anyone who knows anything about education knows that the libraries are the central hub for learning. It doesn't matter, it could be the elementary school or up in college. Libraries today are really integral to all students having access to technology, to do research, to learn about multimedia. And we're trying to educate our students here at Cambridge so they can compete with other students coming out of New York State, in the United States, and in the world, really. So libraries are a real important aspect of modern learning. To give you a background about our library, this picture here on the right is the library as it appeared in 1950 when the building first opened. This picture here, it was just taken this month, and it's the exact same space. So we have been utilizing this space for many years, and obviously libraries have changed since 1950. So we feel that now it's time for our library to change. We've outgrown this space, the need for accessing technology, for increasing space for students to come in, and also for the community to access our library as well is another important aspect of this. A similar situation exists in the elementary school. This is the elementary library, and this isn't as old as the middle school, high school library. But again, this one was built in the 1960s, but the space is limited, and you can see that much of the space is taken up by technology, because that is the role that libraries are playing in today's modern education. So what we are proposing is to increase the size of the elementary library. So currently it exists right here in these two rooms. So we want to move into this area, which is currently special education and counselor offices, so that we can increase the space so we have more room to move in there and upgrade the technology and the library in general. As far as the high school library, currently it's in this spot right here with these two rooms. We are proposing to move it into this area. This is occupied by technology classrooms now and a foreign language classroom. We also want to create a little addition so it bumps it out into this little courtyard behind the school so that we can have a nice open library media center. This is also an area that is important because it can act as the central hub for the school, which many libraries are supposed to do in an educational facility. So it centers all of the learning at this one central place. The other thing we're proposing is to have a separate entrance in the back, so that people can come to the school and actually enter into the library through this separate entrance. The library would also include not only upgrades to technology and the space itself, but it would include adding bathrooms so that in an evening, for example, if we wanted to partner with the Cambridge Public Library, and we actually have been working with them, we don't want to compete with the public library. We feel that it plays an important role in town, but it's not always open, so we want to be able to open our space when they're not open so community members can come in, have access to technology, students can come in after school or in the evening to work on papers because there's, not everyone in our district has access to internet and high-speed computing, and that's part of our educational curriculum in many ways. This would include bathrooms, so this space can be locked down. Basically, at night, for example, you can just enter into the library and just stay in the library. You wouldn't have access to the rest of the school, so it makes it a nice contained public space. The classrooms that are being moved, so technology would be moved down to here, so we're not losing any classroom space, we're just kind of shifting things around. Also, the guidance office and the associate principal and the high school principal are here. The elementary principals are here, so what we're proposing is to centralize all administration into the existing space where the library is. This way, when you come to the school to meet with a principal or with guidance or special education, you can come right to this one central area for both the elementary and high school offices and guidance and special education. So that will make it a lot easier for parents to get to the school and meet with who they need to meet with. Any questions about that? Okay, so that's one of the educational aspects we are addressing. The other educational enhancement deals with the lockers. The lockers have outused their useful life. They are non-repairable any longer. You can see they're in disrepair throughout the high school. Their size is really limited. Most of the lockers are 6 to 9 inches wide. So if you know anyone that goes to school here and has a locker, putting their books, their coats, their sneakers, their gym and athletic gear is just impossible. We really need to address that. So we want to replace all the lockers in the high school with a 15-inch wide variety, which will give them much more space to store things. Also, we'll clean up our hallways greatly, because if you walk through the high school hallways, you can see these lockers are in pretty sad shape. So wherever the green is here, those would be lockers that are being replaced. So we're talking about the main downstairs hallway of the high school, also what we call the 6th grade wing back here, and then of course all the lockers upstairs would be part of this project. The second aspect of our project deals with health and safety. So what we want to address is a controlled entrance into the elementary school. Many of you know we've just opened up excuse me, a new entrance in the high school. So we have a controlled entrance, so when people come in, they can only go into this little cubicle space, like an atrium. They're checked in, they're verified, and then they're let into the building. So it's, it's part of today's safe schools. We need to have limited access for the public getting into the building. Unfortunately, it's the world we live in. As far as the elementary, once you are buzzed into the school, you have access to the entire building. And that's not really a safe situation for us. So what we are proposing is to create a new controlled entrance into the school for the elementary, right in this area. And I'll zoom in on the plans. So currently, this is how you get into the elementary school. So this is the big staircase going upstairs. So you would get into the building and you have access to the whole entire school. So what we're proposing is a new side entrance here that will bring you into a controlled lobby. So these doors will all be locked. So
that's the current elementary office.
Exactly, that is the current elementary office where Ms. Diot is and Ms. Lester. So you come in, this would be a check-in point. Once you're verified and you need to go into the building, then you have access to either go to the offices, which will be here now. So all the central offices will be right across the hall, guidance, special ed, all the principals. Or we would also include an entrance directly into the nurse's office, because a lot of parents that come into our building need to pick up a sick child, bring them home, and that would make it real easy for them. This also includes expanding the nurse's office to include a new sick room and a shower, which is what we're currently lacking there. So that's part of the safety upgrades. Now the third aspect of this project is the emergency situation that has arisen from the flood damage in the little gym. I'm sure you all heard about in August that we had massive flooding coming up from the floors that was through the boys' locker room that eventually filled the entire little gym. You can see the damage here to the wood floors. There was water coursing up from all of the orifices of the base. This is including the volleyball connections. So this has been destroyed. Well, what happened has to deal with the roof drainage system. So after much investigation and consulting with engineers and architects, we have identified that the problem lies with this drainage pipe. So this is the original roof drainage system for the building. So we have a lot of roof space over at that building. I mean, we're talking about acres of roof to drain. So when it rains, it's all diverted through a network of pipes. It's like a labyrinth of pipes, and they all end up here. And then that's conveyed through this pipe system that eventually brings it back to school and that creek that runs behind the school. So what has happened, though, is that the original building is this. So where this begins in the, what I refer to as the old cafeteria, there's a trap door there. If you lift the trap door up in the old cafeteria, you'll see a manhole cover. And that used to be the old parking lot behind the school. So this was designed to drain this building, and then you could have access to it. But now, over years, where this addition for the cafeteria was put on, and then the gymnasium and the locker rooms and the little gym has been overlaid on this pipe. And what we believe is happening here is that the pipe has collapsed and is clogged with construction debris. So this is actual pictures taken inside the drainage pipe. This is an 8-inch in diameter pipe. It's designed to drain the roof system. And you can see there's chunks of brick, There's huge cobbles in there. Even though the pipe appears to be intact here, deeper down we think that it is collapsed completely. And we're not sure exactly where all the water is going. To give you an idea of how much water we had, this is a picture taken of the back of the little gym, and you can see this line is about 2 feet off the ground. So it filled completely with water and then coursed out through the brick, so it had to go somewhere, which is not a good situation. So currently we are proposing to fix this problem. Now, in order to fix this, we have to get through the foundation to that pipe, which is 15 feet below the surface. And the only way to do that is to break through the floors of the locker rooms and the little gym. Just to give you a little background on the locker rooms themselves, these were built in the 1960s, and they are also at the end of their useful life. Currently, the boys' locker room has no heat. The radiant floor heating has decayed over years. The girls' locker room has water issues. You can see the tiles have taken their toll. The lockers are in sad shape. So this is kind of a good timing for everything, because in order to access this pipe to repair the damage, to get the debris out of there, to reline the pipe and put new pipe in, we have to break through the floor of not only the little gym, but also the locker rooms. We have to knock down walls and jackhammer through the foundation to get down to that pipe. So since we're going to do that, we feel that as part of this project, we would replace the locker rooms, so we'd upgrade the locker rooms, and also expand the little gym. Currently, the little gym is about half the size of this space, and it is a small gym. It's not an actual size of a court. If you have any kids or grandkids that have gone through the school, you know that there's a lot of limited space for practices in our building. Partly that is because they didn't build a complete gym here, which is only a half gym. So since we're knocking down walls and ripping up floors, we figured when we put it all back together, we would expand the gym so that it is a full court, and that will give us more practice spaces, and also allow our elementary to actually have a full educational space, because currently in the little gym, they're running 2 classes in there at once, and if you've ever been in a little gym, it is very small and tight. So this will give them some more room. So that's what we're proposing as this project goes on. The problem with this pipe too, when we talk about access to it, it's buried under these foundations, and if we're going to rip this up, we are going to want to ensure that we have access to the pipe so that we continually maintain it so this problem doesn't happen again. One of the other concerns we have too is what's going on under here, because when we put those cameras in, they only got to about this point, and we put cameras in from this area to this point. So right in here is kind of a gray area. We're not sure what's happening. We know the pipe's broken, but we don't know where water's going. I mean, water came out in August, but where's water going now? And we're concerned that there possibly could be a sinkhole or a cavern under there that's been forming over years as the roof has been draining and trying to get out of that pipe. So that's one of the concerns we want to address with this project. Just to give you an idea about cost, if we just went at this itself, regardless of any of the other things I talked about, just to repair this problem, we're looking at about $6 million to get in there and repair that. So what we're proposing, by putting this in a capital project, give you an idea of the cost. The total project is about $10.7 million. However, we do have access to the Smarter Schools Bond Act. This was something that everyone voted on this past election. This is money to be used by all schools for upgrading technology and also safety issues. So we can take, and Cambridge has allotted almost $1 million, so $914,000. And we're going to take some of that to offset the cost, because we're including media centers and technology in the media centers, and also the secured entrance falls under that money as well. So that brings it down to about $9.8 million. And that's actually what will be on the ballot when you go to vote on March 31st. It will be a $9.8 million project. However, we do get 79.5% state aid back. So the state will be paying for almost 80% of this. So we really can subtract $7.8 million from that, and ultimately what the taxpayer is paying is a $2 million project. And that would be paid over 15 years. And that would include everything I just talked about: the library, media centers, the secured entrances, the lockers, and of course the emergency situation. What does this mean to the taxpayer more specifically? Well, if you have a home assessed at $100,000, then you would, with the Senior Star savings, you're looking at $19 per year increase in your taxes. With the Star regular, $39 per year, and then with no Star, it's $56 per year increase in your taxes. And that is over a 15-year period. With that said, we are voting in the little gym, so you can actually get an idea of what's going on in there. So this is March 31st from noon to 8. We're having another public meeting at school for, it's kind of like this one for the public. That's on March 24th at 7 p.m. And I'd be glad to answer any questions if you have any.